Hi, my name is Greg Canty, and I'd like to welcome you to the Win Happy podcast. I love chatting to people from all walks of life about their lives and their careers, about the choices they make along the way to pursue their happiness, and what winning actually means to them. I hope you enjoy these conversations as much as I do. Thanks for listening. On part 2 of a 2-part podcast, I chat with Swedish singer Camilla Griehsel. She talks about life with her young family and her husband Colin, otherwise known as Black, and their move from London to Schull in West Cork. Life in Ireland has been very special for Camilla, both musically and personally, but unfortunately it came with huge sadness when Colin died suddenly in a car accident in 2016. Camilla is always happy when she's singing, and this helped her recover from these darkest of days. She chats about her musical projects, including Dogtail Soup, The Barefoot Baroque, Mama Song, and so much more to come. Let's hear from Camilla.
So at an early stage, we decided that I would start studying, and I always wanted to sing opera, so that's what I started doing.
Yeah. So that gave you a bit of freedom, really, to do what you wanted musically.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. And then when the children, we had Max then after a couple of years of being married, and that carried on. So we had Max for 7 years because that was, we were still both working and getting on with, but I suppose I took the main responsibility. And so we had the 7 years just with the one child, and he came everywhere with us, wherever we were going, He used to come to gigs,
Made it easier than trying to solve it a different way.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it did.
He's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So he grew up like that, and nearly grew up as an only child in that way, I suppose, for those 7 years. And Colin kept writing, and I kept training and singing, and more, getting into the world of opera singing and art song and oratorio music and things like that. So I was doing those kind of concerts. I did some weird and wonderful projects. One was the first ever Yiddish opera that I performed in Israel. And
that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I was over there to do I was lucky to get into a month-long course just put on by the Metropolitan Opera in Tel Aviv. So that's when I met some people, and there was this man, Solomon Epstein, had written this opera called The Dibuk. It was all in Yiddish. And there was a woman who was a producer, and she's a journalist, she's doing loads of things, but always had the dream to put this opera up. So it was a real work of a labour of love with loads of people from all over Jordan and from Palestine. It was a real effort it was a real world music mix of people, from that area, and myself being the protagonist as the Swedish component of that. So that was a really wonderful project. But I had just had my second child at that point, and
how difficult was that?
It was actually, in a way, when every time I've been pregnant, I've been probably the most confident ever, because I feel invincible, and I'm like, don't mess with me, No, it's not all about me. It's about I'm protecting something here, so do not mess. So there's always been a strength. So that was really lovely, and a groundedness, not least because of gravity, suppose, carrying that around, but just feeling really useful and really. And of course, you're blooming and all the hormones are. So there's a lot of different reasons, but really feeling really strong. So that was wonderful. And then so I rehearsed it being pregnant. And then once he was born, the opera was happening. And you were saying earlier about your family and that you've had 2 grandchildren in one, from 2 different children. Like my sisters and I, so I am the youngest, but I was first to have children. The second child, that was my eldest sister, had a child in December November, my middle sister in December, and I had my second child in January. So there were 3 children within 3 months. So we were all breastfeeding. My sisters both lived in South Africa at the time. They're both South African fathers to their children. So anyway, my sister came all the way from South Africa to help while I was doing this opera, to wet nurse my son so I could do it, you know. So that was quite extraordinary. I mean, all these projects have been, you know, again, you asked me how I present myself, and it's very important, this, because we're a very close family and a lot closer than most, I think.
Yeah,
my children are going, what? Auntie's milk, you know. But anyway.
Yeah, does Max look at your sister in a strange way?
No, Marius, this would be Marius.
Oh, Marius, sorry.
No,
Marius,
they got over that. So what can they do?
Yeah.
No, they're all good. They're good with that. But yeah. So that was... it was very interesting.
How long did you have to live there? I presume you had to spend a good chunk of time there, did you?
Yeah, I was probably there for a month and a half at that point. Max and Colin had been around for the first part, and then they had to go home because Max was in school, and then my sister came, as I said, for the tour that we did. Yeah.
Was it enough time to understand the place a little bit?
Yeah, to an extent. The woman that put the project together would have been one of those people that have been out demonstrating for the last year against the regime that is running that country. So I got a good broad view from a lot of different aspects. I have to say that I loved Tel Aviv when I was there. It's a long time ago now. It's a vibrant, vibrant place and very passionate, and it's like a mini New York or something, I think. There's just so much energy, you know, creativity. Yeah, it felt very passionate and quite dangerous. It felt dangerous because there were so many different kinds of people living there and with different ideas and opinions and backgrounds, and
that can create an energy in its own right, can't it?
Yeah.
Which is something a little bit edgy, which...
very edgy.
Everyone feels that or experiences it.
Mm. And then to watch the young people walking around with guns and, you know, everyone in uniform. It's just,
So when you're on stage, in the middle of a 2-hour opera, what's going through your head when you're looking out at the crowd? Do you get totally lost, or...
Yeah,
did you think your way through it, or what do you see even, and how do you experience those moments?
Kind of depends, you know. The moments that I adore are the ones where you're just lost, as you say, and you're just inside the whole thing. Which, depending on what you're doing, and how rehearsed you are, and how well you are in your voice and your body and everything, depending on what you have to do while you're singing. In this particular opera, I had to roll around on the floor while singing High Seas because I was being exercised. The dibuk is someone that comes into your body.
Could you give me a demo?
Yeah, go on. Get the camera out. It was whilst singing High Seas and then intermittently mouthing the voice of the tenor who was inside me, basically. They were trying to exercise him out of me. In those moments, you're only just doing that. I can tell you that much. There's nothing else going on. Yeah. You're not worried about anything else. When things are going well, but then I'm mostly in the moment, you know. Other times, if something starts to go a little bit wrong, or there's a note that was really crap or whatever, you know, you could linger there a moment and then be a little bit nervous about the next one, and maybe you're doing a bit of swallowing and trying to, you know, make sure that your voice is in good nick. There's a lot going on sometimes, you know, and then you often, depending on what I'm doing, but if it's not a performance where I'm not supposed to be with the audience, then if I can be with the audience, then I would be with the audience. I love that, like, you know, really looking at people and do
you see them? Like, do you see individuals that are...
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, because it's like that's the thing. It's the exchange. It's the of energy. It's from one to many. One to many. Look at that. Isn't that funny? From many to one. You know, it's a real exchange of everyone. And when everyone's in a room together, the things that can happen and it's so powerful, isn't it?
And that's the dynamic of a gig, isn't it? It is crowd to person.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier to you that I did a podcast with a friend of mine called Micheál Sheridan. Lovely guy. He passed away a number of weeks ago. And while I was chatting to him, he said to me that he was just after coming from a really profound experience. An experience that he had never felt anywhere else at a gig. And it was Roger Waters in Dublin. But when he started speaking about it, I asked him, was it Roger Waters? Because I was there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And yeah, I've gone to gigs my whole life. I speak about two amazing gigs. The first Thin Lizzy gig that I ever saw when I was 14 in Cork City Hall, and this Roger Waters gig. There was something going on, and unless I'm totally stupid, you could see it. You could see it even affected the performer.
Yeah.
He was coming to the mic. 4 songs in, people were applauding. And, you know, people give you a round of applause for a song and the applause quietens down, then you start off. This applause didn't stop. Just kept on getting louder and louder. And he was backing off from the microphone, waiting for the crowd to just calm down. And then he'd come to the mic again and we'd get louder and louder. There was something unusual went on that night. And I remember hearing my poor friend Micheál talking about it. My wife Deirdre, who, we're driving to Dublin in the car, Pink Floyd comes on the stereo, she's like, okay, if you don't turn that off, I'm getting out of the car. She says it was the best gig she was ever at.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
It was something amazing. But anyway, but there is that dynamic, isn't it? It's between you and something special, or the chance of something special, really special, can happen at any time.
Absolutely.
Or maybe then with all the right ingredients, it never quite gets there. And what is that? Do you know very early on in a gig? Or can something trigger something?
Because sometimes you feel like there isn't a cohesive kind of thing, and then something might go wrong, or I don't know, like make a mistake. Like I've just done a gig with Dogtail Soup Trio, as we call ourselves, and with Morris Caesar and Paul Tiernan and Concord, my friend from South Africa, Concord and Kabinde was there on bass as well. He's visiting here for a few months. And at some point, Paul started a song and he couldn't remember we'd started it 3 times. And then when he got it right, I got it wrong. And it was just, we were all in bits. We were like laughing our heads off, And the same with the audience. Not that they were already quite cohesive and they were all listening and it was lovely. But something like that, where it's like when you let your guard down, when it's just like, I think that's the recipe, is just to be vulnerable and to dare to be vulnerable, to be yourself and show yourself, show everything, show all the warts and everything, I think that makes a huge difference. And just be vulnerable, and let your heart do the talking,
So the super slick, super professional, no mistakes, perfect from start to finish, it doesn't always cut it, really.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think the heart needs to be involved, definitely.
The move to Ireland, how in the name of God did that come about?
Well, I had said to Colin, we will not have children in London. Like, I don't want to be in London with children. And 3 children later, we were still there. So when our eldest was starting secondary school, he was 11, they were 11, 4.5 and 1. We decided to move, and we could have moved anywhere in the world. I didn't care, but I just didn't want to be in London. And we had tried out a few places, like looked around in England, and it was too busy. If we're thinking to live rurally somewhere, then everyone's going Ireland, West Cork, loads of artists, singers, songwriters, poets, they all live down there. Check that out. So we did check it out, and decided that we would. And Skull came up, and when we came to Skull, it was like, wow, and we had no connection. It was just that. We hit Skull and it was something, you come down that lovely winding road and you hit Skull Harbour, and it's just something very, very special. And then we ended up being shown around by Stephen O'Keefe of O'Keefe's as estate agent here in such a way that we completely fell in love with it. And he was, and that person's moved here from there, and they did this, and this place here, and this is the school, and they have sailing on the curriculum, and blah, blah, you know. And it was just like a no-brainer, really. So we decided to try here, and we spent a week finding a place, then a little bit later to rent here. And so we rented our house out in London first, and a house over in Dreenatraw. And then as soon as we arrived here, and the kids were walking on the lawn in their pyjamas as they woke up in the morning, I was like, the high grass, I was like, yeah, that's it. I think we'll stay, you know. But we wasn't without, like, it's kind of, you know, when we were here to look for a place to rent, we had a power cut and storm. It was like massive storm, and the gate had blown off the property the next morning, and I realised I actually was a little bit scared of the dark, you know, and all this. And we went to Heron's Cove to book a table, and I could hardly get out of the car and get in through the door, and the waves were splashing over the rocks, and it was just like... And I came in and like shook off the water, and the woman who owns, I can't think of her name now. And I said, my God, this weather. And she went, yes, it's beautiful, isn't it? And I was like,
it's Sue, isn't it?
Yes,
Sue Hill, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, yes, it is beautiful. And that's the attitude that, you know, because it will be a lot of storms, and there will be a lot of days like that when, you know, you have to love that.
Yeah.
So we did love it. We loved it straight away.
And was it good for you musically?
Yeah. So within the first 5 months, we were invited to Fergus O'Farrell of Interference, to his home. He'd heard we had arrived and that there were musicians arriving and all that. And we went there for dinner, and we met Maurice Caesar and his wife and Maria and Ferg's sister Lydia, and I can't remember if there were some other musicians there that night as well. And we had a sing-song, and, you know, we got to know each other that night, and then we just started to make music together. And we did some charity gigs, and we did stuff. I jumped into the school and became the head of the Parents Association, and
of course you did.
Yeah. Well, I was, I was like, they said, "Do you want to do it?" Like, yeah, okay. Never done anything like that, but that was great fun, mostly. And we raised quite a lot of money, and we did the concerts and stuff like that. That was really great times. And from that, then we started to record together. We started to do more gigs, and we became Dogtail Soup. So that was mainly done Maurice Caesar, Fergus O'Farrell, Colin, and myself. And then we'd have Paul Tiernan come in when he was here from France, and we'd have all the band from Interference when they were around. So we were kind of interchangeable. So we started doing Interference stuff as well then sometimes, and we were just making music, having a great time. Yeah.
Venue-wise and everything, expressing yourself in this funny, quirky little place called West Cork.
Yeah.
There's plenty of opportunities, isn't there?
Yeah. The Courtyard was still going at that point with Finola and Dennis, and oh my God, that was an amazing venue.
It was never there.
It wasn't there, but you haven't.
No,
it was fantastic. It was such a cool venue. And they ran a very beautiful, and the bakery and everything, and the shop and all that. The shop's still there, of course. But anyway, so there, and then we did the bigger sort of fundraising things in the Church of Ireland Church on the Collar Road, and then the town hall as well, and the church hall, the church hall. And then where else did we do? And then Skibbereen quite a bit as well. So we did there in the church, and so those were the venues around here that we did our stuff in. Yeah. So,
Did your pals like coming here?
My pals?
Yeah, I'm sure you had loads of visitors from London and wherever else.
They
what do they make of the place?
They love it.
Yeah.
They loved it. They can't quite believe it, I think. you know, that how lovely it is and how lovely people are and the community. And I think they absolutely, they think it's cool.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
I think you're right. And then, of course, Camilla, there was a colossal bump on the road.
Yeah.
For you. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah. Yeah, we had spent some years apart. I had left the home for a while, and that was really hard. We were talking about it earlier. Two people that want to express themselves in music, and I felt that I wasn't getting the opportunity I needed. Colin loving living here, but also had a side that was quite depressed. And
So you were, is it?
Colin had a side of him that he could be quite low, and I left for a few years, and then I moved back. We decided that we were going to live together, and we have these 2-3 dwellings here, that small dwellings next to the main house, so we could all live quite happily here as a family. So in many years, those last couple of years when we were here as a family, we probably lived a very beautiful existence as a family, where everyone was more able to do what they needed to do. So I started to do a master's degree up in Cork, so I was there a couple of days of the week. Had a little room up there, and I was in the middle of that. Colin had this car accident, and I'm so glad that we were back here as a family, all of us. It was so important that we had that stability together, and but it was very clear that the accident was serious. He was on his way up to the airport and hit some black ice. And he was going to write with friends of ours, Alison Clark, of Danny Wilson, if you remember that band. We used to all sing together in London, and they lived there and we lived there. And he was going to write with them, so he was on his way there. And then we got the phone call that he had this accident and that we were to come to the hospital. And so we organised the children. I organised the kids because they were there. I was up in Dublin actually that night. I was coming back that evening or that afternoon. And so we all arrived at the hospital together, and on the way down to Cork, I was called and asked could they do this particular procedure where they relieve pressure on the brain. And it didn't sound good, but we arrived and managed to get a room in Brú Columbanus, which is this lovely hostel right next to the hospital. Amazing facility, because his mother then a brother came from Liverpool, my sister came from Sweden, his manager, my manager as well, came from Japan, and people came from all over. And we were with him 10 days, the first days, and we were hopeful, and all his fans were so grateful to that. We had made times when everyone just sent energy, and we were very hopeful that things were going to turn around, but he never woke again, and the last days they changed the team around us, the ICU, it was a different tone in a sense. I got a second team in to ascertain whether things could be, if anyone else had an idea if things could be, but he had a really, really severe brain injury, like a shearing. So it was like a serious concussion, but all the little blood vessels had basically been severed, all around his brain. And they were like, if he ever wakes up, he won't be able to do anything, you know.
Yeah.
So because I'm the next of kin, I had to make that decision then. And that was tough.
Yeah.
I spoke with my son, eldest son, who was 23, 4 at the time, 4, and about to become a father himself. And then we decided that we would do that, and we waited for Colin's father to come from Liverpool, and then we gathered, and whoever wanted to, loads of people came and sat in the hospital in that waiting room. So many friends and so much love came towards us. And like I say, the stay in Brú Columban is where we could cook food, and we didn't have to think about paying for hotels or, you know, it was, wow, so amazing.
A special bond happens though around all of that, doesn't it? With everyone that's involved, and I know from what you're saying how difficult it was, and it did go on for more than 10 minutes. But that group, everyone that you mentioned, there's a window of a time where that relationship locks in together. And while it's tragic and the situation was terrible, I'm sure what was created between you was very special as well. And the strength that you get from that can carry on to the next phase of life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who was he? Who was Colin? When you think about it, and obviously your relationship bobbed and weaved like it does with so many of us, who was he?
He is a very kind person, very kind man. Yeah. Full of goodness, really, full of love. And my God, he loves his boys, and he loved me so much. And he was so, he really was full of goodness. And music took up a lot of his time. He'd be always drumming.
Yeah.
We're always making music, and his mom always said that, he used to like that in the pram. He used to not like to move so much, even when he was 1 or 2. He used to like to sit in his big pram and she always said, I knew he made music then as well. Full of mischief.
What was your happiest memory with him?
Oh, there's so many. I don't know, Greg. The children being born, all of them. His absolute pride and love for them. Yeah, that was very special. I don't know. There's so many. As a private, for us too, I suppose, it really is, when I said yes, that sticks out in my memory just at this moment. It was just when I told you we went skinny dipping and the ice had just broken.
if you weren't awake beforehand.
On the lake, and we probably just kind of slid in, but he kind of came after and he dived and he took all his clothes out with my mom there and everything, and I loved all of that. He loved the Swedish kind of freedom, and maybe my family's a little bit extreme like that, but he loved all of that freedom. And I just remember everything kind of flopping around in the air as he dived from the, just thinking about that. No, there are too many memories. It's impossible to say. There's so many happy ones, and also up in the north of Sweden where my sister Marika has a place up there in my mom's village. And my other sister Helena lives in the family home in Stockholm. So all those places are still there. But there we could just lounge around. There's nobody. It's in the middle of nowhere, and there are lakes, and there are beautiful beaches on by the lakes, like sand beaches, and the whole family be there, all the kids just walking around without clothes on, and it's just those. Sorry, and we used to spend summers together with my sisters and their children and husbands, and those were very, very happy moments,
And rebuilding all of that again, Camilla, after, like, obviously a lot of sadness followed, and the music, and of course you had to mind your own sorrow, but the boys as well. Obviously, sad times.
Yeah.
Did the music help? Did the music help to get all of that going again?
Yeah, and it was amazing. We were just rehearsing for Colin's funeral, and I was going to sing, Max was going to sing. And people from Interference and Dogtail Soup and all that. Fergus was going to sing as well. And while we were in the church rehearsing, he was in respite in Skull Hospital. We were just about to walk down to him to do a rehearsal in the Skull Hospital when we got the call that he had passed away. That was like exactly a week after Colin. So that whole week was just, it was, I don't know, it's a strange blur. It was just, but the thing there that remains was that we were singing. We were singing at Ferg's, then when Ferg died, a whole wave of musicians came down. Liam O'Mingley, Maria Dole Kennedy, Brona Gallagher. It was slow, like everyone came from everywhere, and all the members of Interference, and so we just kept singing. And then over the years, we've done tribute concerts for them both. And that's been, it's like nothing's stuck. Like,
yeah, okay.
You share your grief. It's helpful to you and it's helpful to others. It's like a circle or something that you can just, so that nothing is stuck. You can just let it go. So that's been super helpful. Of course, there are other aspects of it that you have to grieve in different ways, but the singing is definitely kept, and the music has kept things. And then also because that's the continuation of them. They're always around, they're always around. The music is around and their music's around. We're still singing the music, all the gigs. We're still, I incorporate both Colin and Ferg songs in my gigs always, So, that's, the music definitely helps.
Yeah. And you were busy after. I know you had your own album and everything.
Yeah.
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 Well, no, I've got the name. Is it
Mama Song?
Mama Song.
Yeah.
Mama Song.
So Mama Song was the reason I went to the Cork School of Music was with the idea to create a show, and so I started it there. There was a music performance degree. So you did 3 recitals. That was the main bulk of your degree, and so I got the whiff of what I wanted to do there, and then I've been working with some amazing musicians all my life, very lucky. But the musician Newell Tsumbu on guitars, Congolese guitarist, he lives in Inishannon, incredible man. Eamon Cagney from Donegal on percussion, and Maurice Caesar was the beginning of it, and developed it with him, and Concord and Kabinde on bass. So we were the people that started the first sort of Mama Song weaving together. So it's a really, really fruitful, wonderful project, and they all love their moms, which is very important because it's a homage to mother and mother energy, Mother Earth, mother, and that kind of touchable force, where we all come from. So it's really about honouring and celebrating that. That's what Mama Song is about. So taking music from all over the world, singing 6 different languages. Some of the pieces are created by us together or specifically for this. A lot of the pieces are South American particularly, so I have a real grow for singing in Spanish, and it seems to be a language that I can express myself without any Swedish kind of reserve present, Yeah, so that's been a very, very, also for me, very like that's where I was wanting to do. And when we moved back here together, we were both kind of on a path of doing our own thing and, you know, getting on with music. And anyway, so I'm so glad that I deferred for a year. I didn't finish my degree, but I came back and finished it. And then I've been working on Mama Song a lot since then.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Being a student, that was a bit odd, I'd say, was it?
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And just the teacher I was working with, the singing teacher, she's like, "No, I'm not your singing teacher." She's much younger than me, and she's a fantastic teacher. I said, "Just forget about it. Like, I really want to be taught. I'm coming in knowing nothing, you know, because singing is it's a very interesting, when you teach singing, it's a language of imagination, you know, because you can't see what's going on in your throat. So you have to find ways to trigger what needs to happen with the language, with the kind of flowery language, or, you know, fun language, or find ways to get the sensations that you might want that will help you to use your voice in a healthy way. So it's very interesting, and I learned so much from her. And just being a student, the Cork School of Music is a wonderful, wonderful place.
Some amazing facility and everything, isn't it?
Amazing. So I loved being a student.
Yeah. So your album is called Source, and I think that's available through your website. It
is, yeah. It's available there. We recorded that album. We were going to do that show again in the hall in Skibbereen, which is being renovated for a long time. So we decided in the end to just go in and record the album. So we rehearsed as if we were doing the show, and then we recorded the album in Grouse Lodge over 2 days. So it's a 25-piece with spoken word and everything. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with it.
Amazing.
Very happy to have made it into a concrete piece of something or other, you know, CD. So yeah.
So musically, Camilla, what's going on? What's happening next? Come on, tell me.
Well, there's a project looming in the background, which I suppose could say that it's a soulful project. That's all I will say about that. And there's some exciting people around it that will work on it. But I will leave it at that now, because that's next year. But right now I'm about to go and do a tour with the wonderful people from Barefoot Baroque, which we do once a year. And it's not just Baroque music, but there is some Baroque music in you don't need a bow tie or anything. You just come in, and we are barefoot mostly, and we do it in boat houses, and we do it, you know, in different places on the islands, and so that's happening. And then I've Dogtail Soup Trio with Morris Caesar and Paul Tiernan, and we've been doing gigs in Leavis, a Sunday gig, the first Sunday every month so far. And the other thing is the St. Barahans Festival in Castletownshend on the 1st of August. There'll be a concert together with an amazing bass clarinetist and Paul Tiernan and Morris again. So that would be a different repertoire again. But yeah, that's the summer. That's the summer for me at the moment. And
beyond that, what do you want?
I'm also here with Concord and Kibinde. We're recording some songs together. I'm very shy in this particular aspect of releasing my words. I have probably written 5 songs in my whole life. So this is something I'm delving into, becoming braver. Apart from that, I'm just going to keep singing, because I'm feeling really well, and I'm open for many different things, really. You know,
brilliant.
Any collaborations or Mama Song, obviously, I wanted to bring it to festivals, or we'll see what happens. But we have a lovely product. We just did that in the Opera House in Cork now, so we have a lovely video coming out soon of that. So
on your album, I think my favourite song is the Blue Nile song that you sing.
Happiness.
Which is Happiness. You're on the Win Happy podcast. So tell me, what's happiness to you?
Having my health, first of all. I think that's really important. I think this year is proving that the older I get as well, once I have that under control, I'm looking after myself, I'm learning that. That's very basic, but being around my children and my grandchildren and my my partner and my friends, my musician friends. That brings me a lot of happiness, and it's very important. And like to have my children and their girlfriends and them around is extremely important. And then extended family, Sweden, South Africa, wherever all the people are. To be able to wake up here every morning is pretty extraordinary, and go for a swim, which is a daily routine. You know.
How bad?
I know. I mean, it's all, you know, like the privilege. I feel extremely blessed. What's happiness? Yeah. Being able to go for a walk with my dogs, being able to walk sometimes.
And two beautiful dogs. They have to get a mention. Come on.
Yeah, Angie and Rufus.
Yeah, I was introduced. I got the face licked off me by one of them.
Yeah, nearly inside your mouth. That's Rufus's way. No, and they are such, like, I never had dogs until we moved there. We had another dog, Bubba, that is now gone to the next place, but he was 17, and it's just such, again, what a incredible wealth to have animals around you, and they mind you so well. Oh my God, like Angie's been my constant companion. She will not leave me if she sees I'm sad. She will not. She will go into my room and she'll lie next to my bed. There's no contest. You know, she'll be there.
They are so good. They sense,
oh my God, they sense
don't
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For anyone that hasn't had the joy of a dog, you know, it's such a special thing. It's such a special thing. I talk about winning happy, and you know, I always talk about this analogy of if you're a football player, and you know, you might love playing football like you might love playing music, but if there were no goalposts, it might feel a little bit pointless after a while. You're like, okay. So if you hit the ball at the back of the net, you know, that moment where, yes, what are those moments for you? Well, you know, those kind of like success moments. What's that to you?
I believe what you're saying too. You have to have a kind of a goal or something, and in a way, it's just like a dreamy thing. It doesn't actually have to happen. But I love, I love South America. So I was only in Peru once. I recorded an album there with a amazing guy. That's one of the songs I wrote together with Colin about this guy called Chocolate. And he was an incredible percussionist that played with the Buena Vista Social Club and blah, blah, blah. And I was very, very lucky to make an album with him. But there was something happened when I went to South America. And it was that, and I brought my youngest son again, Milan, to Lima to record for 10 days. And when I arrived in Lima on Peruvian soil, I cried, and then, but not like, you know, it was just like some strange tears I'd never experienced before. And then there was something that really happened with, like, I saw threads between people. There was a real spiritual experience that I just haven't really had that extent of before or since. So I'm really curious to go back there. And I did an opera called Maria de Buenos Aires in the Opera House up in Cork a few years ago. And I got really into the tango and all that. So I have this dream of doing a concert in Buenos Aires in the Teatro del Colón, which is the opera house in Buenos Aires.
I'll book my ticket.
Cool.
This has to happen, Camilla.
Yeah, I really want that
really
to
does.
happen.
It really does. I have one last question for you. And if you could pick, I'm going to say a stage moment that stands out beyond everything else, what would it have been?
Probably Radio City Music Hall with Fergus O'Farrell, Colin, and Interference Band and Glenn Hansard. We were there supporting them, Glenn and Marquetta, when they won the Oscar for Falling Slowly. And obviously, we probably know this now, but Glenn has a huge amount of love for Ferg, always did, and invited us all. So we all went over. Like, I don't know how many we were. We were like huge amount of people. And
the plane was full with you.
Yeah, it was amazing. And Max came along, and my sister came from Sweden, and all these people. But, you know, it was just a whole Interference gang, and all the people loads of people from Skull. It was an incredible moment. But there's so many. Oh my God, so many moments. But that's definitely up there as a real exciting incredible kind of happening, you know.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Could you talk to me about the song Happiness? And why that's on the album, why you like it particularly?
Well, it was the song that Ferg used to sing in our Dogtail Soup set. And he was supposed to sing it at Colin's funeral. And then he died the day before. So then Max, my son, that just peeped his head in, was going to sing it. And then at the funeral, it became too much for Max, and everyone kind of chimed in and sang it. It was very, very beautiful what actually happened. Paul, I remember particularly Paul Tiernan just took over. Everyone was just chiming in to sing it. But then, so that's how kind of Happiness came into our lives. But then during the tribute concerts, then I was asked to sing that song. And so it's just become one of those songs now that people really want to hear, you know. I met someone the other night who was wearing a Blue Nile t-shirt, and he was like, "How come?" And he was a massive fan.
It wasn't me, but it could have been.
Yes, yeah. And Colin was a massive fan. I mean, A Walk Across the Rooftop, that album used to go. That used to be on a lot here, that CD. Yeah.
A new album every, 7 years or something.
Yeah.
But,
that's all well worth the wait.
Yeah.
Incredible.
They were special. So for anyone listening, if you do a Mr. Google on Camilla and Happiness, you'll find some videos on there. I think there's Glenn Hansard on stage with you, and you're performing that song in the most amazing way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, wow. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Could talk for hours more.
I know, absolutely.
And we only just scratched the surface.
And of course, we're doing it inside when the sun is
beaten
splitting
down.
the stones out there.
I know.
Yeah, West Cork summer. We got it today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Now that I found peace at last, tell me, Jesus, will it last? Now that I found peace at last, tell me, Jesus, will it last? The birds are laughing in the trees. It's only make-believe. It's only love. It's only love. It's only love. And I swear I wanna hold you, treat you right. Cigarettes in the morning light. I can't do wrong. Can do right. I'll see you later. It'll be alright. Now that I found peace of mind, oh, tell me, Jesus, is it mine? Now that I found peace of mine, tell me, Jesus, is it mine? Birds are laughing in the trees, and in the empty breeze, it's only love. It's only love. It's only love. And I swear I wanna hold you and treat you right. Cigarettes in the
will do right. I'll see you later. It'll be alright. Now that I found peace at last, tell me, Jesus, will it last? My happiness.
Thank you for listening to the When Happy podcast, which has been brought to you by Fusion Communications. If you'd like to get in touch, feel free to send me an email at greg@fusion.ie. So until next time, take it easy.